All right, hello and welcome to Coffee with the Kays. What episode is this?
13?
13.
I don't know. I went blank. I have no idea.
12, possibly 13.
Yeah, that's it. We'll figure it out.
It's getting near the end of the season.
Here we
You
are.
tell us. That's
you tell us. All right, before we upload it, we'll figure out what episode this is. But
Yes.
welcome, this is Coffee with the Kays. We are the Kays. This is 3 music teachers. We're a musical family. And we
Yes.
love coffee. And we love the Cleveland Browns, and we love music. So that's
Love
what
is
this
a
is
strong
all.
word.
Okay.
For the Browns, yeah.
Browns.
Dad tolerates
We'll
the
get to-
Cleveland Browns.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that later.
But we do love coffee.
In our podcast, we are covering coffee, football, and music. 3 amazing things. So
Yes.
hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's going to be really good. We have some special stuff right off the bat with the coffee that we're trying today. It comes from Cambodia.
Yes.
Show
All
the
right.
Cambodia
We're-
side of your
We're
cup.
using our Cambodia
Cambodian
mugs.
cup.
Yeah. Courtesy
Check it out.
of our student David.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you,
you, David.
David.
So, David, we talked about this special type of coffee. We hinted at it in the last episode, and we finally
It
have
was
it.
a teaser.
We have it
if you will.
here. There it is. Yes, the Weasel Coffee is here. All right, so if you're not...
You got to get a picture of the weasel.
Yeah. See the weasel.
The picture of the weasel.
There he
There you
is.
go.
Yes.
The civet,
Yeah.
or
This-
however you pronounce it. I don't know.
see, I said civet, so
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I've just figured if you say it with confidence, nobody's going to question
Yes,
it.
you
so
will.
Unless
civet.
your mother starts
Corrects
to do it.
That's
you.
usually
I'm
what
sorry.
happens.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm probably
That's usually
wrong.
what happens.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, so for those of you that are not familiar with this process, it's a very unique brewing process, okay? Because basically what happens is the weasel will eat the berry, because a lot of times the seed for the coffee is inside of a type of berry. The weasel eats the berry and then defecates, and the seed gets harvested, and that's what we're drinking right now. So, I'm excited.
Yes.
We have not tasted it yet.
Our passion for
first-
coffee is reaching a
This-
new limit.
Yes.
This
Our
is for
Weasel Brew
serious. We
coffee.
have graduated to the next level here.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go, guys. Cheers.
All right,
Let's
cheers.
see
Here
what
we
this
go.
tastes like. Oh man,
That's
wow,
pretty good.
that's
It's
really
like
good.
in a chocolate.
I was just
or
gonna
I was
say,
gonna say it tastes
tastes
like
like
chocolate.
something. Yeah.
Wow,
Now that's
Sorry,
it's kind
it
of
really,
sick.
that
it really does taste like chocolate. I was like,
that's amazing.
it doesn't really smell like coffee to me when you smell it.
No, definitely.
But it's a really
It's
boy,
delicious.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
I was really
Good.
scared. I will
Yeah.
say I was really afraid. And then you put it in your mouth, and it's like a mocha.
Wow. Now here's the thing that's always interesting, because we haven't talked a lot on this podcast in recent episodes about our diets, and you know how I think a lot
Our
of times
dietary
whatever your
preferences.
dietary preferences does play into how you enjoy your coffee, right?
Yes.
Because if you're the kind of person that is consuming high amounts of carbohydrates,
Sugar.
especially processed carbohydrates and stuff, sometimes just drinking coffee black, you that bitter jumps out at you, really strong.
This is not bitter, though.
No,
But
not
this
at all.
is definitely not bitter. But we are all, for the most part, we're very low carb, all of us, for the most part in our diets, and not really taking in any processed sugar at all. And so I tend to notice that
Your
sweetness
flavor, yeah.
stands out to you a lot more, like especially natural sweetness tends to stand out a lot more when you're not consuming the processed sweets so much. So I wonder if that has an effect.
Boy, this is delicious.
It is
David,
good,
this
yeah.
is really good stuff. I'm really liking it.
And he said he wasn't a fan of it.
I don't
was
know.
like,
It
oh,
has
well,
a
now we're going
lot.
to drink it.
Well, I
You know,
think-
it
like-
has
think-
a lot of flavor, and
It's the-
personally, I like the cup because it keeps the coffee really hot.
Yeah,
It's like
it
a metal
does, yeah.
cup.
It's good. Yeah, the
So
cups,
I
are
like
nice.
that.
You going to tell us what a tuk-tuk is?
I have no idea. Maybe it's a truck. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it's the vehicle you get around town in.
See,
Yeah.
that's what it looks like. So we got to find out about that. Yeah, interesting. I think it's the idea, right? If you get past the idea that it came out of Weasel,
I have already gotten past the idea. I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Man, this is delicious.
I'm totally surprised. I
This
just
is funny. It's funny.
Totally
It's not
surprised.
bitter. It doesn't have an
So
aftertaste. It's very
just
smooth.
to be 100% clear here, according to the packaging, it is a blend. I mean, it's mostly Weasel Coffee, but there's some other that has been blended in, but it's what did we say? It was all Arabica, right?
Yeah.
It's Aarabica and Robusto.
Oh, so it is. So it's a mix. Yeah. It's a blend. You can definitely taste the Robusta in it.
Yeah.
Which a lot of it's starting to change, but the tendency, like the trends, were that it was all Arabica that was the best type, and if you drink Robusta, that was like Folgers or Maxwell. It was like, But like people are starting to come around to this whole blending as being something good, So
I got to tell you, David, this was really good stuff.
It's yummy. It says it's 40% Weasel Coffee, 60% premium coffee.
Yeah, which premium means that's whatever,
I don't know.
So it's probably mostly the Weasel Coffee. It's just
we also already tried the other coffee you gave us, which was
this one?
Yeah, this was the other stuff. Yeah, the other Cambodian.
Really good too. That was
what was the name on that one?
It's Moldukiri.
There you go. So that's the company.
That's where it's from.
Yeah.
It's from the coffee. It's the same manufacturer actually.
And the Moldukiri province.
Moldukiri.
Yeah.
Well, this Weasel Coffee is better than
way
that.
better than
but
that.
That was really good.
We really
that
liked
was,
this
That was a
too.
great cup of coffee.
Yeah, it was very
smooth.
rich. It was smooth. It was and less bitter. Definitely, I think that's the thing with both of these. You really don't taste the bitter.
But there's a nice the finish, like you're still tasting it. I like that.
Oh, definitely.
It's like people talk about wine, I guess, but it's like that with coffee because you're done drinking it, you still have the taste.
You still want
in your mouth,
you want that lingering flavor.
It's a good taste.
The aftertaste is pretty good. I get a little bit of that Sumatran kind of in the aftertaste. That kind of earthy.
Yeah, smoky. I was even saying it's almost like a smoky taste.
Yeah, you can definitely taste that. So. It's a darker roast. This probably would have tasted really good in a French press. I did a Chemex for both of these, so that usually brings out the lighter tones of the coffee. So it probably would have been better in the French press because it would have sat in the grounds for longer before you press it out. But there was very little oil and that was the thing I was surprised about when I was pouring it because a lot of times you can see the oil filling up on the bottom. You can see it in the plume, when you're pouring over the top. There really wasn't a whole lot of that.
Well, and it doesn't have... I have mentioned in previous podcasts, I'm not a fan of the fruity tastes that are in some coffees. And this does not have a fruity taste. It's really rich. I like it.
That's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
I'm very surprised.
Awesome. All right, there we go.
So now we got to check out the
What's
Kape
the cat?
Luwak.
Yeah, right.
What
else
That's
is next?
The cat stuff. Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bigger animal.
Yeah.
Bigger taste,
Right.
Yummy.
That's it.
That's good stuff.
Very good. Very
All right.
good. Awesome. All right.
Coffee.
So, what are we going to talk about next?
I don't know. What are we going to talk about?
Those rascally Browns.
Okay, so we are doing this on Sunday, and they're playing tonight. So by the time this airs,
we will know.
This game will already be over, and we'll either be celebrating or
crying in our beer,
wallowing and
crying in our coffee.
That's it, crying in our coffee, getting ready for next year. Because basically, there is really if they lose one game, we're playing the Ravens twice. If you lose one game and you win the other, there's still playoff chance. If you lose both, you're pretty much done. They said today, I was watching a Good Morning Football or whatever. They said today that this division is the only division left in the entire league where every team has a winning record.
Yes, and that's it. We were talking this week because we actually talk about this stuff more than just on the podcast.
I know.
But we were talking about how ours is the toughest division. We have the toughest
It's always
division.
been that way as far as I'm concerned.
And, and that's good because hopefully it makes them better. But, Hunt's going to be back today, so that's good. He's been out.
Baker Mayfield's going to be back.
Yeah, he said that according to him and the other people that are in the organization, they said that he's feeling better than he has before since his injury. So he's supposedly.
And then next week they have a bye week. Well, that's it. So this week,
I'm getting that season coming.
Right? Hold it together, man.
That's it. Well,
Baker Mayfield is hurt and he should not be playing, and his ego and a lot of other unknown stuff.
Well, I think there's some politics going on here. One of the
sure
things,
there
I did I've listened to way too many, Browns podcasts and stuff. But one of the things they said is that the Mary Kay brought this up. The medical staff keeps clearing him to play.
Right.
So if you choose to not play him, you can't say that you're sitting him because of medical reasons. Because the medical staff has said he can play. So I feel like
what does his mother say?
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't know. She's probably saying, "Get your butt in there."
Yeah,
okay.
well, and that's why everybody's like, "Well, this isn't about questioning Baker Mayfield's toughness." Like, if I hear one more person say that, like, no,
tough.
okay, of course, we got it. He's tough, but what difference does it make if you're losing the game? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to be tough and you still win the game.
Yes.
Like
Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, that's the one that always comes to mind, right?
tough.
The Big Ben takes a clobbering, he's out there with like one leg sometimes, and he's still making plays. So it's like, and even though he hasn't been like amazing this season, that doesn't necessarily negate all of the years and years and years where he proved himself in these exact same situations. So,
but this is the Ravens, and we really want to beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
We could if everybody is on their game and thinks and is smart, we can win. We have awesome players.
Land.
What do you say? It's been that way from the start. They've had great super talent, probably the most talented players in the league on this team.
Yeah.
And they have the dumbest coaches that you could ever imagine walking on 2 feet. Mr. Coach of the Year, I don't know, when you get to fourth down and, it's like 4th and 11 and you call a run play.
Right.
I think you need medical attention here.
But they didn't do that the last 2 games. They didn't do that, in all fairness.
Well, it's like telling Chubb, don't go into the end zone. He gets a breakaway run. Well, coach told me not to go into the end zone.
Did you just
They
leave?
said that was a smart play. No, yeah, I did. I just needed to adjust the camera.
It was a smart aleck play is what it was.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need to revisit that.
Well, I'm telling you, man, I got years of the baggage.
The Browns baggage.
It's not like it just goes away and, okay, today's a new day, They make some of the dumbest, we're going down the Freddie Kitchens road.
Yeah.
Where Freddie Kitchens started calling the plays and wanting to take over and do everything his way, and he wouldn't listen to anybody about anything.
Yeah.
And it was his way or the highway, and he
losing.
drove them right into the ground. And we're doing the same thing now because Stefanski is ardently secure in his decisions no matter what. Yeah. And sometimes they're the dumbest decisions. I can't, unless he's like looking at a statistic and going, "Oh, the statistics say 4th and 11, we should go for a run play." Chubb could do it.
They say that statistically speaking, that it's better to go for it on 4th down. That's been like a big thing across the league that has been changing. More people going for it on 4th down, but I think that
not when it's 4th and 11 and you call a run play.
I think you have to read the situation, right? And
here's the situation: you're not making any success on the ground.
Yeah, right.
Let's do that. And that speaking of play calling, it's Chubb off tackle left. Oh, he got stopped at the line of scrimmage. Chubb off tackle left. Oh, he got tackled for a loss of yardage. Yeah. Next play, Chubb off tackle right.
Right. Yeah.
You watch this stuff and you can't make it up, man. What are you smoking?
Yeah.
We are going to win today, though. I have hope.
Well, my thing is, because I would think that because of, recent events within the last, 2 or 3 years, this is the first week that Stefanski has really felt the heat from everyone. On his play. Yeah.
Yes.
Because
when Miles speaks out, we go into halftime and we don't change anything and they're wiping the floor with us, and then he gets yelled at by Stefanski.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody has a problem with reality there.
Well,
you want to piss off the most valuable player on the team.
Right.
And treat him like a little boy.
Right.
When he's 10 times smarter than the coach, and he's just talking common sense. You adjust, you make adjustments. They allow you to do that,
Yes.
And then, I took him to the woodshed,
He didn't say that.
That's pretty much what, we had a talk, and what we talked about stays in-house,
That's always been his thing, is that, we handle those things in-house.
Yeah, because you'd be totally embarrassed if people knew.
There has to be accountability, though, and I think that's where I came around with Stefanski. I was defending him for a long time because, of a lot of different things. You look at his record, he was Coach of the Year, and in the analytics, and he changed the culture in Cleveland, and blah 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 blah. But then at some point,
we started losing.
Well, and I think it comes. I started.
Was it a change, or was it like a rubber band thing? It goes back the other way.
That's. I think when you look at last year, we did lose to the Jets.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and that's where it's like, okay, so we made it to the playoffs, for the first time in forever, but they lost to the Jets.
Yeah.
Come on. It's no consistency, and that's what we need right now. Is we need
Cleveland
consistency.
seems to always play to the level of their opponent.
Well, yes, we've talked about that.
If they were playing
that is true.
St. Helens Nursery School,
I know.
they would be playing on that level.
Yes.
Right.
They do. So that's why I think they're going to rise to the occasion here.
Because this is a good team. I mean, the Ravens are a good team as much as we hate them. I mean, you have to give them props. Lamar Jackson's really awesome.
Well, the whole team is not awesome.
But
Lamar
Jackson is awesome, and that's the problem. That has been the problem for the Ravens last year and this year is Lamar Jackson's the whole team.
He is.
Yeah.
And they were reliving last year's game, that Monday night game that was so exciting. Like some people were saying that was the game of the year and stuff, and I forgot. Because I just blocked it out of my.
We choose to block it out of our mind.
He went out of the game
for that.
I know, right? Well, because we were winning and he went out of the game and then he came back in and they scored the touchdown right at the last minute that won the game and it was
ridiculous.
But
you have to admit, as much as I hate Baltimore. That guy is really talented.
He's really good.
I mean, and he's tough. You talk about Baker's toughness. You make Baker look like a little girl.
Clowney they're going to become.
Girls can be tough.
Yeah, well, they're going to introduce them to the grass. Girls can be tough.
You got to be careful, man.
Yeah.
No, I think.
What you talking about?
Myles Garrett and Clowney, they're going to introduce them to the grass.
Well, I think that's the thing. What I have seen is whenever he has to pocket pass, he doesn't do very well. And I think if they're boxing him in on both ends, his only option is
when he gets that run up the middle, man.
Right. Well, that's where we've got JOK's back.
Yay.
We're going to be relying on Mitchell and like some of these other guys or Smith to step it up.
Is back, but that's
Conklin's back, but he's
on the other side.
Offense.
Sorry.
So it'll be exciting. We'll see how it goes. But we were definitely we need the bye week definitely because these guys need to rest and make sure they recover from the injuries and finish the year strong. We need to rest.
Fans need a bye week.
Fans need
it.
Yes. Jeez.
Okay.
So, anyway.
You ready?
You're going that fast?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I get excited about the next
topic. All right, so Mom picked the topic for our music portion of the podcast today. So, and I'm actually kind of excited about it too. So go ahead and give it to them. What are we talking about?
I wouldn't tell them. So the other day, the Billboard came out, just released their top 10 greatest of all time artists.
Of all time.
All time. Top 10.
Ever since,
greatest of all time.
Year zero, right?
That's it. We're talking about Guido de Arezzo, back, Gregorian chant, like all.
I don't know. I'm not
sure he's up there.
I know, right?
I don't think
Hildegard,
really.
That's it. New show. We're going that far back. Yeah.
It's going to be Taylor Swift.
Right.
Over the Beatles, over,
I don't know that
the Masters.
I don't think they're ranked.
I think that's the best way to do it. If you're going to do something like that, don't rank it, right?
I mean,
just say these are the top 10. Because I think people have asked me before, about concerts. We should do that. Would be a good podcast episode. The best concerts you've been to.
Oh.
Right? Because people will ask me, what's the best concert you've ever been to? And I'd be like, I got a top 3. I'll go with that. I don't rank. So I think, So these artists, I think.
I have a top. Yeah.
See, this is good.
Okay,
we had some technical difficulties, but we're back now and we're ready to go. So, all right, give us the list. Let's hear it.
Well, I don't know. I think you need to guess. What would you think? Give me somebody.
Well, this is the thing. This is what I was saying though about going back.
Subjective.
How far back do you go?
It's not that far back. It's only
because if you're gonna say all time, you got Bach, Beethoven, right?
No, it's none
Stravinsky.
of that. No, it's like popular music.
Okay.
Oh, you not even like Chuck Berry?
Well, I mean.
Little Richard?
Come on.
Well, there you go. But no, they're not on the list.
They're not even.
No, well,
it's a worthless survey.
The Beatles.
Okay.
Are they on there?
Yes.
Well, okay, all right. So
Beatles.
what are we going back to then? 1950?
Maybe. I don't think it's
Who's
that
the
far
oldest?
back.
Just look at who do you think is the oldest one on their list?
Elvis.
Well, no, because the Beatles were before Elvis, weren't they?
No.
No, Elvis.
No, Elvis was first, then the Beatles.
What year was that?
63, 62.
Okay, so 1960. So we're going to say
Probably.
from 1960 on, the most influential artists. Is that the list?
It's their top 10 greatest of all time.
Greatest of all... Well, see, this is
It's
the...
very
right away, man.
Come on. Top 10 greatest of 1960 to the present day. All right, we'll go with that.
So if it was...
All right, so let's see. Skrillex...
According to Soapy the intern. You know?
I want to know what the rubric was that they used for this.
Okay, all right. So
Okay.
so if you were gonna say from 1960 to present day, this is where we're getting.
It's
This is
not
why you
even-
don't
it's not
give
even-
this. This was not designed for music teachers.
No, and it's not even
so-
the present day, because present day...
Or music listeners.
Right.
I know. It would be like the 60s and the 70s.
So it's probably Elton
basically.
John,
That's
Rolling
it.
Stones.
Yes, okay. Elton John
all right.
is on the list.
All right. Well, so
The Stones aren't on the
No.
list?
I wouldn't put them on the list.
what? The Stones?
Greatest of all time?
How many years were they on top
don't
of the
think,
charts?
Yeah, I don't think you can leave the Stones out. I
Yeah,
don't.
and have any
mean,
kind of,
yeah.
you know...
But are we talking about musicianship, or are we talking about popularity?
Well,
What
that's-
are
They
we
were
talking
popular.
about?
They were as popular as the Beatles.
What about musicianship though?
I don't know, Paul McCartney, come on.
Yeah, I mean,
He's a machine.
if you get
Yeah.
a chance to see that Get Back video series on
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus,
Yeah.
oh, watch it. It's
It's
fascinating.
amazing.
I mean, you're going to be there for a while because it's really
long.
long. It's how they had to do a concert in 14 days and had one song a day that they wrote, and it shows the chemistry of the Beatles interacting and working out their parts. And,
Yeah, that's cool.
and Paul
Yeah.
McCartney's brain just will fry you, man.
Yeah.
He was so amazing,
Yeah,
man.
that's cool.
Just amazing.
And it's not just, I was saying too, with Paul McCartney, you know, he was telling them what key they were in, and now we're changing to this chord. And
Yes,
then
he
we're
was
going
educated.
To, yes.
Yeah, knowledgeable,
Yes.
educated.
It
Yeah.
wasn't just, you know, well, I saw on YouTube the other day.
Right. I mean,
I know. Well, and that's cool. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm just hearing from you guys. I want to check it out myself, but I think that's cool because I've heard people try to tell me before, like when it comes to, try to teach elements of music theory and things like that, and when it comes to songwriting, things like that I feel like are valuable to being able to songwrite, and people arguing with me that, well, Paul McCartney didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he
think
did.
he knew
I don't
more.
think he
Yes.
just lucked into all of his
Yes,
songs.
no.
You know?
Yeah.
And even if he did, does that necessarily mean that you are Paul McCartney? Is
Well,
that
yeah.
what you're saying?
Really? Oh
That's
my
an
gosh, you're
important element.
comparing
Yeah.
yourself.
Are you really
Well-
saying that you're Paul McCartney, that you don't need to know all this and you could just luck into it yourself? I mean,
The interesting thing about this is you get to see them all. Lennon and George Harrison all, and they're playing their parts. And at this
Yeah.
one point, George Harrison, Paul McCartney's telling him what he wants him to play, and he's like, "If I play that, I'm gonna sound like I don't know what I'm doing."
Yeah. I know. It was funny. It was good. And
That's good.
You're
But
gonna
then
make me gonna sound like I don't know how to play this thing.
I know. It was. There's some really.
man.
It's very good.
And
That's
it
cool.
It was a
It's
great
very interesting.
education about Ringo. Tell them about Ringo.
Well, I actually looked that up. I looked up about Ringo.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
okay.
That was my own research.
I was
there.
just involved
Yes.
in
Yeah.
everything that was going on.
all right,
Yeah.
what about Ringo? We're in suspense
Well,
now.
He was very sickly as a
first of all,
child.
he's the oldest Beatle.
Yes.
Oh,
Which
really? I didn't
never
know
knew
that.
He's the
Yeah.
oldest, yes.
Oh.
He hides it well.
How about
Yeah, he's
big
awesome.
time. Wow.
But
Yeah.
they talked about Paul McCartney was actually telling him, at this point right here, we need something to go.
Yeah. And then he has
And Ringo's
to.
like a computer, man. I was like, well, okay.
And then he would just do it, yeah.
Or
Or
that
he
what you're
would
looking
just-
for? Yeah,
yeah.
that was it.
That's funny.
and,
Wow.
I mean, to me, to interpret that kind of,
Yeah.
that's what McCartney would do. Or
That's-
He speaks fluent Stubblefield.
There
Yeah,
you go.
right.
That's
That's exactly what it made me
That's
think
it.
of. Yeah, Jabba Starks and Clyde Stubblefield with James Brown, because he would do
Same.
the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then he would turn to Ringo and say, "We need a couple fills in here," and then come back And then Ringo would just do something, and he'd go, yeah, that's it. And a lot of times you're looking, and Ringo looks like he's not even paying attention, honestly.
Yeah, he had that bored look.
But then when he would just snap to, and then put the magic in there. So, I mean, yeah, it was great.
So tell them the listeners what you read.
I did some research about Ringo, and apparently he was very sickly as a child. He had, I don't know how old he was, 6 or something. He had a ruptured appendix, and he ended up being in the hospital for a really long time, and it took a while for him to get well. And his mother, probably out of fear, I will say, as a mother, didn't want to put him back in public school because she didn't want him to get sick again. And his immunities were down, so he didn't go to school for a couple of years. Now, I interpret that as he was homeschooled.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Because he didn't go to
For our
public
listeners out there, I was homeschooled, so
there you go.
That's it.
So, you know, they didn't really say that.
If I mispronounce words, that's why.
Exactly. I know. But so that was the beginning of it, and then he got tuberculosis later on as a child again, and was hospitalized for a really long time, and lost the ability to walk and use his limbs, and
wow, geez.
and in the hospital
no idea.
when he was recovering and going through therapy, they had a band at the hospital. They did music therapy, and that's what got him interested in the drums, and that's what enabled him to get back the use of his
limbs, because you learn independence and all kinds of muscle control.
Absolutely.
And that's
beautiful.
what sparked his interest more in the drums. And
that's amazing.
I know. I think it's so exciting.
Wow.
I mean, I love it.
Why don't we know that? Like, that should be something that, like, we should all know that.
Yes.
Wow. You know, they're kind of been there, done that in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah,
They're not relevant, I think some people think. But yeah, that's fascinating. And
that is amazing.
He's such an interesting guy.
He's interesting,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
They were talking about his peace and love thing, and, you know, and how he's known for that. And I just think he's a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I know for sure with his drumming that I didn't really appreciate his drumming until I was older, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I remember
you gotta, like, almost study it.
Right.
To appreciate it, because it's really technical in a lot of ways. The thing is, he made it look so easy.
I think
he didn't realize that he was doing all that.
That's exactly right. Yeah, because I think that was the thing is, like, you know, growing up and I'm listening to, you know, Neil Peart and stuff, right? You know, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, if it's not Tom Sawyer, it sucks, you know? And it's like, so I was all about, you know, the flash and the technical and the time signature changes and all that stuff. And so it was like, yeah, of course, everybody can play the Beatles, you know. But then that was as I got older as a musician, and like you said, you really stop, study, listen. You have to have, I think, a lot of knowledge about, you know, the parts of music. You know, that idea of this sounds good, why? Right?
Yeah.
You know, to really then start to appreciate some of these things.
And the voicing of the drums and stuff,
right.
too. I think that
and the
comes
tuning,
into play.
like that was something too. Like the way that he tuned his drums was special, and that created a certain type of sound that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise, you know, and things like that. So
they brought in an anvil. Paul McCartney said, "Anybody got a hammer? Is there a hammer around here? I need a hammer." And he says, "Hit that anvil." And he went, "Tonk." He said, "Hit it again." "Tonk."
Yeah.
Bang, bang, Maxwell's silver hammer came down upon his head. And I mean, it was just like that. He just, out it came, you know,
awesome.
and then he performed it, and it was like, oh my God.
And I think, you know,
what
what's
it would be
interesting,
like to be involved with something like that.
Oh,
man.
big time. I think what's coming to my mind, you know, hearing you guys talk about this is the fact too that, like, that didn't happen overnight with them as a group, right? Because by that point
they had been together.
They were totally
comfortable.
one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So to get to that point, they had to work to get to that point, right?
Yes.
They had to, and specifically, it's like being in a relationship, right?
Oh, yeah,
they had
absolutely.
to like work with themselves.
Well, you could see that too. You could see them getting on each other's nerves and stuff. And, that's what you got to watch it, man.
That's
really
cool.
great.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
definitely.
it's very, very good.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, that was a fun rabbit trail. So the Beatles definitely need to be on the list.
They are on the list.
All time.
And I did say Elvis is on the list.
Elvis
which I
is
would
on
think,
the list.
Yes,
So
definitely.
this individuals or groups?
Both. mostly.
You got to have Zeppelin on there.
No.
Well,
The only-
okay.
That's
All right, so
you have
they
The only
no credibility.
Group, the
That's
only group on there is the Beatles.
Yeah, this is
And
not.
so it's not even really about a group or not a group.
Okay,
It's-
so do you want me just to read the
Just
list?
read the list.
Yeah, 'cause-
Yes.
I'm going to read the list.
Let me
So
hold my
reserve
notes.
your
Yeah.
comments.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we
Hold
go.
the comments.
Ready?
All
Take
right, all
a
right.
deep breath.
All right.
Ready.
All right.
Okay, I know. The Beatles, Madonna, Elton John, Elvis Presley, Mariah Carey, Stevie Wonder, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson,
I'll go with Michael.
Whitney Houston, Rihanna.
Who?
Well,
So what
okay.
I mean,
All right.
Okay.
So yeah. Well, I can see her.
Who her? Rihanna?
Yeah, Rihanna.
Being on the greatest of all time?
Well, from a business perspective, because of the music empire and fashion and acting and all of that stuff. But from
is that the criteria?
no, from
I-
a
that's
music,
what I think
from
we
a
have-
music
The Beatles clothing
look,
line.
If it's talking about, that's where you get into the gray area of the artist.
And
right?
it's Billboard, right? That's about
This is
like
music.
Billboard.
That would
Hit
be
music
Yeah, that
and
would be
stuff,
music.
you know?
That would not just be.
I mean, Elton
the
John,
artist.
he's got a lot of hits. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
Well, and Elton John has written a ton of stuff that, like, when
Other
you really,
people.
other people did his stuff,
Yeah.
right? You know,
Yeah.
and so
So he
But-
belongs on
Yeah,
there.
does.
You
yeah.
had a couple other dogs.
Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson,
Where did
yeah.
that come from?
Well,
I don't know.
This is where the people doing this study let their personal preferences sneak into it, avoiding any kind of criteria for what they're doing. And that's terrible, man.
Yeah,
I know.
that's not good. That's
Well, I mean,
terrible.
Michael Jackson for sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know, and Stevie Wonder, I think that
Oh,
was
absolutely.
awesome. You know,
Yeah.
but I definitely, I'm not even sure Madonna deserves to be on that list.
Well, when I heard that, I was like, I don't know.
and you know, there's a
I
lot
mean,
of things we like about
so
her.
look, you wouldn't have you 100% like the pageantry that goes along, like Cher and you know that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
why
with
isn't
the
Cher on that?
Cher should be on that.
I
list.
mean, you know,
but who came
What
first?
about Prince?
yeah. What about?
Oh
Prince?
yeah, geez,
Yeah.
come
Did
on.
he influence music?
Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Ask Michael
Prince?
Jackson.
Well,
know
there
what
you
I'm saying?
go. Yeah.
Well, and really, it was Michael Jackson first, and then Prince.
No, he tells you that he was influenced by Prince.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, if you in that.
Well, Prince
um,
100% deserves. to be
Michael
on the
started
list.
when he was a little kid.
Yeah.
and
Right.
Prince didn't, but
Right.
but his influence was Prince.
Yeah.
a lot of that.
Big time. How about that?
And then there
Okay.
that other guy that I gotta think of his name.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, what about Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah.
Well, how can you
mean,
not have
you
Jimi
know,
Hendrix on the list?
What
But-
about
well,
B.B.
first of all,
King?
there has
What
to be
about-
just 10. But if you're gonna do that, you got to get rid of some of this.
some of the
Yeah.
riffraff?
Well, I mean,
That's just
you know,
you just
I think
shoot
but,
your
yeah.
credibility down. You know.
Well, let me.
I'm gonna talk about the best fathers of all time. You know, and I'm gonna start with number 1 through 10. My dad.
Okay, right. Well, we
are
know
you
this
telling
is
me here?
subjective anyway, but
I
you
would
know,
want to know. We need to go to the Billboard article and see like if there's
What
more
they were
to it.
drinking?
Yeah,
right,
really.
right.
Or
well,
smoking,
you know,
I don't
so
know.
the inclusion of Rihanna, okay, you know, but they completely like hip hop
Well,
is
that's-
huge.
Right. That's what I
Hip
said. Of all
hop
time.
is
Yeah.
worldwide now.
Yeah.
So how can you avoid putting any hip hop artist on that list? What sort? Dr. Dre?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, as much as I
Run
don't like
DMC.
him, Run DMC,
I mean-
Eminem. I mean, right? How can you avoid putting all of
Billy
that
Joel. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
I would
there's
even
another
go with
one.
somebody like that. But
Well,
you
the thing
know,
about Billy Joel is like if you had all his albums, there was a lot of dogs on those.
Oh,
albums.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Oh,
but
I
if you
think
get a
that's-
Billy Joel greatest hits, you got a great piece
Yeah.
of
I
music.
think that's any of them would be
Well,
like
it's-
that, right?
No.
Not everything was a winner. I mean,
No,
even
the
the
Beatles,
Beatles,
man, they-
I was gonna say even the Beatles. I mean, look, come
Their
on.
flop tunes were like Octopus Garden.
That's right,
you know?
right.
yeah,
It's still a
It's
great song.
I know. But and then you know, unless it has to do But even if it's just about the money, how much money they made.
How
or
is
something,
Jay-Z not on the list?
Yeah, I don't know.
Beyonce.
Yeah, well.
How would you put Rihanna above Beyonce?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How in the world do you... Now, Mariah Carey, I could kind of see. Because Mariah Carey, but you guys, you have all of your... Because, you know...
Baggage.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But
I am not saying anything.
But she launched
about
with the stylizing. She launched many generations of singers.
She's very, very
because
It's
influential.
absolutely. I was
So-
poking fun.
That's it. So, like it or not, influential, huge.
Yeah.
Like, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. I think very clear. Boom, boom. One
Yeah, but
gave way for the other.
If you're going to say of all time,
Yeah, that's,
Ella Fitzgerald, come
Yeah.
on.
Well, you can't. Well,
You know.
Billie Holiday for that
this
matter.
was truly the people that did this were kids, and they have a very limited scope and understanding about all time and what that means, and probably not very well read as far as music goes.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very hard list. I would
All
want to look
time.
at the top 100.
When you say all time,
All time.
that you're already creating
Well,
controversy.
and
Yes.
it's so subjective. Everybody's got a favorite. Why ain't Leonard Skinner on there? You know, I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
people
well,
that
there you go.
you know. So it's a really impossible task to begin with, but that really for sure shows that they didn't do their homework.
So
And
you know the
it's
500.
like sit down and name 10 groups. You know,
Right.
Well,
right.
they're not just. The problem is the only group is the Beatles.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that you would have to say like the top 10 bands of all time, and then like maybe the top 10 solo artists.
But even when it comes
I
to
would
solo
think-
artists, though, there's always a band behind the solo artist. It's never just the artist.
Did they
themselves.
do this, you think, by pulling their, because they have all the computer data behind all this, who was on their billboards the most?
Maybe.
Well, because this.
I don't think it would fly.
Well,
really
I don't think so either. But this is why, like, the thing about Rihanna that stood out to me, because I think that she made some kind of list recently as like her personal net worth
Oh.
as like the highest musical
I heard
artist.
that.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
that's why she's on.
So that could
maybe
be
it
why
has
she's
to do
on.
with money.
But that's why I said, how is Beyonce and Jay-Z not on that list? Or Justin Timberlake, for that matter, because,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that dude,
Yeah.
I mean, huge.
Yeah.
Still making
Is
tons
Janet
and tons.
Jackson still making music?
Well, but no, but she's a millionaire, but that's mostly because of her clothing line. And,
Well, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
It has
other
nothing to do with-
ventures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
she was
because of her
a really good actress. I mean, she was in Good Times, and she played.
Oh, was she really?
Yeah, that was
Oh.
that little
Yeah.
girl. That's
She
Janet
was-
Jackson.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah, and she was very good at
Yeah.
acting, even at a young age like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And she's a great singer.
Well, and
but-
she did. What I know is like, of course, Michael Jackson changed the game when it came to music videos and stuff. But it seemed to me like she kind of picked that up and ran with
she
it.
did.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
borrowed from Brother Michael.
Right. Yeah. And so.
So it-
Same moves, same dance moves and
Yeah.
stuff. you
right.
know.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I mean,
It is
that's-
interesting.
It's controversial a little bit.
In this house,
In
it
this
is.
I
house.
know.
It
I know.
is.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's
definitely.
funny.
You just had to
Awesome.
stir me up, didn't you?
I know.
Oh man.
it's neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roy Rogers ain't on that list.
I know.
I'm telling you.
Rogers.
Happy trails to you. That's way before your time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's. I mean, I was surprised I got the Good Times reference. So that's.
Yeah. I thought I taught you better than
Yeah,
that.
well, that's it. The age does kind of catch up to you, so
Yeah.
that's funny. But yeah, okay, interesting. So I wonder if our listeners, you guys should leave a comment leave a comment in the video or send us a message and let us know Instagram or Facebook what would be in your list.
Yes.
Yes.
The top all-time artists, but really we had to be specific from 1960 to
Yes, I know.
present day.
It's not even to present day. I don't
But
think.
yeah,
it's-
Rihanna's still making music. What are you talking about? Present day.
Is she?
Mariah Carey's still making music.
Christmas special.
Yeah, that's
There you
it.
go.
That's it. She's on top of all that.
So, who's on your list?
Well, I mean, for sure the Beatles would be on the list, but influential. I mean,
now we're coming at this from a music perspective. We're not necessarily getting into the whole venture capitalism of it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Elton John, the Beatles. I mean, I agree with that. I think Whitney Houston should be on that list for sure. But I think there's some more. I mean, I really think Taylor Swift. You made fun about that, but I think
you gotta.
I think she should be on there. She does a lot.
You think she's in that category?
And you know who else writes really good songs?
Really bitter, stab your boyfriend in the heart
No,
song?
that was the one album, okay?
No, but not...
when she came out with Red, it's like, well, that's the blood on the floor.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is stomping to death. That's what you get, you know?
But I think Adele, her songwriting is amazing.
She's coming on strong.
She's,
So in that same vein, though, wouldn't you have to put Bob Dylan on the list?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't see how you could not.
Well, that's it. Yeah. So
from the songwriting perspective, I think Adele, absolutely. It's always interesting when you try to think back and like, okay, what is history going to remember, later on, like, when it's 50 years from now, looking back, who are the names that people are still going to be talking about? I absolutely think you could say Taylor Swift is going to be a name people are still talking about.
She's pretty huge.
She's huge. And her music, and she, this last album even, went more of that folk Americana kind of sound, which, I don't know if you ask me, I think she's copying Justin Timberlake a little bit. I'm just saying, because he did the same thing with The Man in the Woods.
You're going to get a phone call.
I know.
But see,
Taylor Nation's coming after me. I know. I'm sorry, Taylor Nation. Don't get better.
Nation.
I'm not saying, she's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying. But but still, she went different and it was still successful.
She's quite a businesswoman. I think that's where Madonna, led the way as far as being a good business. And how about Dolly Parton? I mean, talk about a businesswoman and a songwriter. I mean,
and still.
Well, Dolly Parton really took over her career. Her own career, right? Like when you look at the story of what she did with her life. But she really went, and said, I'm not going to let people make decisions for me, and had to, finally stand up for herself. And
which is what Bach did. So let's go all the way back.
Well, there we go. I mean, that's what I would say. If you start going all time.
So who's on your list?
That didn't.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the ones mentioned there, I don't know, like when it comes to, if you gotta look at different styles of music and everything like that, but I mean, James Brown.
Oh yeah,
James Brown has to be on that list.
Yeah.
You can't. We would not.
The thing is that what if during James Brown's time in music, they had digital downloads? What would his sales?
Geez.
So you can't even compare apples to apples, because the older ones don't have the advantage of the digital age.
Right. So, well, and you talk about distribution too, because that's the biggest thing. The method of distribution now is at an all-time high.
Right.
I mean, your album's being listened to worldwide. You know, I mean, so that's the thing is like anybody can get music out there for the entire world to hear. Whereas, in order to reach that kind of status back even 20 years ago.
Almost impossible.
Well, and so that's why some of the people like Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson 100% deserves to be on that list, but there were people that were like that, and James Brown was on that list too. That meant, I think, a lot more, to reach that type of status because of just the way that it had to happen, So I think that was definitely, James Brown has to be on that list.
Well, I would be remiss not to mention the Funk Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh Well,
more number one hits than Elvis, the Beatles, and everybody else put together.
Well, for those of you that don't know, the Funk Brothers was the band that was responsible for the Motown sound, essentially.
One band, same band behind all those songs.
Yeah. So
only nameless, faceless band of excellent musicians.
Absolutely.
And boy, could they make it happen.
Yeah, well, and that's we had the privilege of meeting several of them and getting to know, Pistol Allen and
Bob
Babbitt, bass player and drummer there, and
Bootsy.
Well, but Bootsy was the Parliament Funkadelic. Well, he was in James Brown.
He's a funk brother.
Yeah, he was in James Brown's band, and stuff. So Yeah, but that was a fun time, knowing those guys. But what their mark on,
huge.
The imprint of American music.
It's a Grand Canyon footprint, man.
Yeah,
it's
big
huge.
time. Big time. No, that's a really good point, and it's important to mention them because you are right. That is one of those groups that largely, even now, after so much has come out about what they did and their contribution and stuff, it gets largely forgotten.
It does. Yeah. It's weird. It's like it dug a groove in people's minds, and it just stayed there.
Yeah.
Well, what's the name of that movie on them?
Standing in the Shadows of
Motown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch
Very
that
good.
flick. It's incredible story about what happened in forming that group and everything.
Well, and it's kind of sad what happened to them too, because because of that fact that they have collectively as a group more hit records than Elvis, the Beatles, and the Beach Boys combined, which blows your mind when you really stop and think about that. And the fact that most of our listeners right now probably had never heard of them before.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that you're hit that one right on the mark.
And see, in my mind, not too many people on that list compare to that.
No.
Yeah. I mean, when you, now and like if they would have had that digital advantage, things might have been even more. In their favor of making the top of that list.
Absolutely. But what's interesting when you think about the group, the Funk Brothers, if there were no Funk Brothers, there would be no Michael Jackson.
Yeah, there
would be no Stevie Wonder.
No.
There would be no Diana Ross.
Yeah, Stevie, he cut his teeth with the Funk
That's
Brothers.
right.
I mean,
that's right. They talk in the documentary about little Stevie Wonder coming over and always asking him questions and stuff about what does this do? What are you doing here? Stuff like yeah. So I mean that's the thing. I mean you wouldn't. And I even as good as Smokey Robinson is, I 100% convinced Smokey Robinson would not have been as successful as he was if he didn't have the Funk Brothers to create. Because he had the vision, but you need people to understand to actually do it and put their input in on it too. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't. He was good solo artist, but that wasn't. He couldn't make it huge.
He didn't have the magic.
He didn't have the magic. That's right. And so his songs came alive when the Funk Brothers put their spin on it. And that led to that creation of the Motown sound. And I mean, you can go nuts after that if you look at how many people got inspired by that created music all the way up to the current day. So
let alone the actual artists that were under Motown.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah.
Such great music, and this was really fun meeting Pistol Allen and Bob Badman and all those guys, and they were really good to us. So.
It's really funny because I don't know how old I was when we met them, but I was young. I was like
young,
9,
10,
somewhere around there. And I remember there was that round table discussion that was going on. You remember
Nashville's busiest drummers.
That was it. And so it had, I remember that Stubblefield was there and Jabba, they were on that. Bob Babbitt was there. He was the only bass player. They had,
Pistol.
And that was the thing. So Pistol came in, but Pistol was late. I don't know if you remember that. But Pistol was coming in.
I didn't think he was going to make it.
That was it. Yeah. So he came in late, and I remember they introduced that. Oh, there he is, and who was it? Boo that was arranging that whole thing. Yeah.
What it was? I don't even remember the
Nashville Percussion Society. Yeah. Institute. Nashville Percussion Institute. That was it. And so Boo introduced them, and and he ran off this whole list of people that he played with, or played under.
Yeah.
And I remember in my head at 9 years old, because I knew all the names on the list.
Right.
And in my head going, no, he didn't. That's
impossible.
That was it. I was like, no, he did. He didn't play for all those people. Come on, And then that was the thing is, because, it is. It's hard to believe it. It was one group of guys, one band that played on so many, amazing artists like that. So, it was so funny. But I remember that specifically because, and it really wasn't until I saw the documentary that it was like.
Which was years later.
Years later.
Yeah.
Right. It was cool.
That's great.
Well, and I would say that without putting Led Zeppelin on there, that's just lacks credibility.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
They were a force.
Yeah.
You know, that even today,
to this day, still.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
You can't ignore Led Zeppelin. Definitely.
So.
It's fun. It's fun to talk about these.
This was a good topic.
Yes,
yeah, it was funny. We need a little controversy. So
that was good.
You always seem to find those things.
That was good.
Sometimes.
That was a good one, Mom.
Yeah, good deal.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up right there. So this has been Coffee with the Kays. I'm Josh Kaye, Kyle Kaye, Ron Kaye. Please, if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, suggest it to, send it to your friends, your family. I think that everybody...
Let us know your list.
That's it.
Yeah.
Let us know what would make your list of the top influential artists. And be sure to rate, like this video, subscribe. If you are interested in music lessons, that is what we do, and we've been teaching people. We just got done talking about teaching students in Cambodia, so I mean we're worldwide now. So be sure to check us out, musiclessonspensacola.com. The music for the beginning and the end of this podcast is done by this guy right here on his album K-Struction, so be sure to check that out. We had a You had a release. You had a new release. Heart's Desire. A new release just came out. He's working on a blues album, people. And it's going to be mostly blues, right? We're sticking to the blues theme here.
Well, I'm going to get at least 8 blues songs.
There you go. So Heart's Desire is really good, and I mean, I have to say, I enjoy it too. So when people would say your opinion's biased, I'm like, no, it's not, because you see how hardcore we are about this stuff. So yeah, no, I think this one's really good. If you really enjoy blues, you're gonna like that one. So go check it out. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio even. So there you go. All right, guys, but thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Coffee with the Kays.